Okay, so this is problem 1434A on page 790 of your text. And this is about bonds. As you read through the text, you see that these bonds we're talking about are long-term. They normally pay interest semi-annually, and they can be issued at a premium or a discount. So remember, the way we know this is that if the stated rate of interest, which is what they have to actually make the payments on, is lower than the market rate, they're going to sell at a discount. If the stated rate is higher, we would sell at a premium. The face amount of a bond is called its par value. So it says here, it says on January 1st, 2018, Nurses Credit Union issued 8%, and remember that interest rates are always annual unless you're told otherwise. 20-year bonds payable with a face value of $600,000. The bonds pay interest on June 30th and December 31st. So the market rate, it says for requirement 1, if the market interest rate is 7% when NCU issues its bonds, will the bonds be priced at face value, which is par value, at a premium or at a discount? So we know the stated rate is 8%, so if the market rate is 7%, they would be issued at a premium. So what we can say here is that if market rate is less than stated rate, we would issue at a premium, right? We have a higher interest rate on our bond than the market is paying, so people would be willing to pay more for it. Number 2 says if it's 9% when NCU issues its bonds, will the bonds be priced at face value, premium, or at a discount? So again, this is going to be at a discount, which is the normal circumstance, right? So if market rate is greater than stated rate, going to be issued at a discount, which again is the normal circumstance. Most people are not going to want to pay more for a bond than the face amount. So it says for number 3, the issue price of the bonds is 92. Journalize the following bond transactions. So 92, that means 92% of par value. Okay, that's where if you have a bond that's being issued at 100, that's its par value or its face amount. So what we're going to do is we're going to take on 1/118, we're going to get cash, right, of 600,000, that's the face amount, times 92%. So that gives us 552,000. That means we have a discount on bonds payable of 48,000. So that discount is going to have to be amortized over the life of the bond. And the reason we have a discount is because of the difference in interest expense, the difference between the market rate and the stated rate of interest. So we really have additional interest expense. We actually have to pay the 8% on 552,000, not on 600,000. So our interest is actually going to be higher. Okay, so we have bonds payable. Now the bond indenture is a contract So we do have to pay the interest rate that is stated on the bond, and we also have to pay back the $600,000. So next it asks us to do the payment of interest and amortization on June 30th, 2018. So remember, we have to pay the interest expense. We have to amortize the discount, which is a debit. So in order to amortize it, we have to credit it. And essentially what we're doing is we're spreading this additional interest expense over the life of the bond. Because of the matching principle, we can't just take it all when we issue the bond. Now, the easiest thing to do to amortize the discount is use the straight line method. So we have a discount of $48,000. It's a 20-year bond payable. It pays twice a year, so that's 40 payments. So the easiest thing to do is just take 48,000 divided by 40. Now you could choose to do this once a year, but it's best to do it every 6 months so you don't forget about it. So that's $1,200. So that's going to be the same every payment. And then cash, this is going to be based on the stated rate and on the $600,000, right? Because we have to pay interest per the bond contract. So that's $600,000 times 8%, and it's for 6 months. Using the 3360 method, we can reduce it to 6/12. So our actual interest expense is going to be $25,200. Okay? So more than we're actually paying out in cash, because remember, we're really paying on this. 8% on that. So our interest expense is going to be higher than the cash payment of interest we're making. So when it tells us to do the payment of interest and amortization on December 31st, 2018, we're doing the same thing. I can just copy and paste this. And then the last one is retirement of the bonds at maturity on December 31st, 2037. That would just be a debit to bonds payable. For the $600,000, remember we're obligated to pay that. Credit the cash. Now the only thing we have to consider here is if the payments were on July 1st and January 1st, then we'd have a little bit different scenario. So let's say instead of June 30th and December 31st, the payments were July 1st and January 1st. So we would have 7/1/18, and we would have the same entry, right? Interest expense, discount on bonds payable, and credit to cash. So we'll make this a little bigger. These are going to be credits. So we would have the same entry that we have on June 30th. So if we had debit, credit, so we'd have 25,200, 1,200, 24,000. So if the payments then are July 1st and January 1st, at December 31st, we would have to accrue the interest. So what we would have to do if that was the scenario, is again, we would have the same entry. The only difference would be we would have, instead of cash, we would have interest payable. Right? Because remember, according to the matching principle, we have to put the interest in the correct period, and we would also have to show the readers of our financial statements that we have a liability, that we owe our bondholders this $24,000. And then what we would have to do is on 1/1 of 19, we would have to debit interest payable for $24,000 in credit cash. And the reason I'm showing you this is because a lot of the problems are like this, where it won't be June 30th and December 31st. June 30th and December 31st, we don't have to accrue any interest because we're paying it out. But if it's July 1st and January 1st, we have to accrue interest on December 31st. Very important. I thank you for your attention.